Look at the clock on your wall. Every second that ticks by feels like it is slipping through your fingers, vanishing forever. You have been taught a specific, depressing rule about reality. Time only moves in one direction. It is a straight arrow pointing toward aging, decay, and eventual cosmic silence. But what if the greatest scientific minds suddenly realized our assumptions about the linear flow of time are fundamentally flawed? What if time is not just an invisible measurement, but a dense, physical material that can be frozen, crystallized, and locked into an infinite loop? In 2012, a theoretical physicist proposed something so mathematically outrageous that the academic establishment instantly pushed back. He suggested that we could engineer a new phase of matter that completely shatters the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. When laboratory engineers finally proved him right and actually built this impossible material, it sent shockwaves through the global tech industry. But the real shock, the undeniable truth that mainstream academics hesitate to discuss, is that the exact blueprints for this infinite, looping architecture of time were already mapped out in staggering mathematical detail thousands of years ago in the ancient Vedic observatories of India. We are about to strip away the academic jargon and examine how modern quantum hardware is actively catching up to the deepest secrets of the Atharva Veda and the Surya Siddhanta. To understand the sheer magnitude of this breakthrough, we have to look closely at the cornerstone of modern Western physics, the second law of thermodynamics. For over a century, this law has been the undisputed king of the sciences. It dictates the concept of entropy, which simply means that everything in the universe is constantly moving from a state of order to a state of complete disorder. If you drop a glass on the floor, it shatters. You can never watch those shards of glass spontaneously reassemble themselves back into a perfect cup. A hot cup of coffee will always cool down. It will never spontaneously draw heat from a cold room to boil itself. This is the arrow of time. It strictly mandates that energy must be spent, exhausted, and lost. Because of this law, the scientific community has aggressively maintained that perpetual motion machines, devices that can move and work forever without a power source, are an absolute physical impossibility. They are considered the realm of science fiction and crazy inventors. Western academia has confidently asserted that the universe is essentially a massive wind-up toy that is slowly running out of energy, destined to eventually stop moving completely. We build machines that constantly degrade because our fundamental understanding of physics demands that energy must inevitably die. But then, the rigid walls of standard physics began to crack. Frank Wilczek, a brilliant physicist who had already won the Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 2004, began looking deeply into the quantum structure of matter. In 2012, he proposed an idea that sounded like absolute madness to his peers. He looked at normal crystals like diamonds, quartz, or snowflakes. In physics, a standard crystal is defined by its structure in space. The atoms inside a diamond are locked into a highly specific, repeating, three-dimensional grid. Wilczek asked a simple yet profound question. If atoms can form a permanent, repeating structure in physical space, could they also form a permanent, repeating structure in time? He theorized the existence of time crystals. A time crystal would be a cluster of subatomic particles that constantly move, tick, and shift in a perfectly repeating pattern over and over again, without ever losing a single drop of energy. Think of a grandfather clock that ticks flawlessly for billions of years without ever being wound up. It is perpetual, infinite movement, locked into the fabric of the material itself. When Wilczek first published his equations, many physicists dismissed the concept entirely. They argued that it blatantly violated the sacred laws of thermodynamics. A system at its lowest possible energy state, known as its ground state, is supposed to be completely frozen. It should not be able to move, but the mathematics were undeniable, and the race to build the impossible began. Fast forward to recent years, and the impossible became a physical reality. Elite research teams, utilizing advanced quantum computers and extreme laboratory conditions, successfully created actual time crystals. By using lasers to manipulate chains of highly sensitive ions, they engineered a quantum state where the particles began to oscillate and flip in a perpetually repeating rhythm. Even when the system was cooled down to its absolute ground state, where all normal kinetic energy ceases to exist, the time crystal kept moving. It kept ticking. It did not absorb energy from its environment, and it did not lose energy to its environment. It was locked in a flawless, eternal loop. This discovery is revolutionizing the quantum computing industry, as engineers use these materials to build hyper-stable memory systems that never degrade. But while the Silicon Valley elite and Western physicists celebrate this as a brand new, unprecedented frontier of human achievement, a deeper investigation reveals a massive historical blind spot. The Western world is only just now discovering that time can loop perpetually without decay. Yet, if you open the oldest, most profound scientific texts of Sanatana Dharma, you will find that the ancient Hindu astrophysicists and sages had already anchored their entire understanding of the cosmos on this exact principle. They did not view time as a destructive, linear arrow. They knew thousands of years ago that the foundational architecture of reality is built upon an infinite, perpetual loop of energy. Let us look directly at the authentic, unaltered source material. In the Atharva Veda, one of the oldest and most profound pillars of ancient Indian knowledge, there are entirely dedicated hymns that analyze the fundamental nature of time, known in Sanskrit as Kala. The Western colonial translators of the 19th century frequently struggled with these hymns because their own limited linear worldview could not comprehend the physics being described. The ancient Sanskrit terminology is hyper-specific. The Atharva Veda describes Kala not as a passive measurement on a clock, but as the supreme, primordial kinetic force of the universe. It is the ultimate energetic driver that dictates the motion of all celestial bodies and subatomic realms. Most importantly, the ancient texts explicitly define time through the concept of the Kala Chakra, the wheel of time. In the Vedic framework, time does not travel in a straight line from a chaotic start to a dead, frozen finish. It operates in massive, flawless, perpetual cycles. The universe moves through precise yugas, expanding, contracting, manifesting, and dissolving, only to instantly begin the exact same perfect rhythm again. The cosmos itself is the ultimate time crystal. It is a system that remains in constant dynamic motion, cycling endlessly through its phases, without ever suffering permanent energetic death. The macrocosm behaves exactly like the quantum microcosm that modern physicists are currently engineering in their supercooled laboratories. It is hard-coded into the most elite astronomical texts of the ancient world. The Surya Siddhanta, an ancient Indian treatise on advanced astrophysics and astronomy, provides mathematical calculations of cosmic time cycles that are so unimaginably vast and precise that they continue to stun modern astronomers today. The Surya Siddhanta treats time as a tangible, quantifiable, and cyclical force. It maps the movements of the planets, the precession of the equinoxes, and the massive orbital mechanics of the galaxy by utilizing the fundamental understanding that the cosmic machinery is locked into an eternal, self-sustaining loop. The ancient Indian astronomers did not suffer from the existential dread of cosmic entropy. They understood that the destructive forces we observe in our immediate, localized environment are just a tiny fraction of a much larger, perfectly balanced quantum equation. While a localized object, like a human body or a piece of technology, will certainly age and degrade, the fundamental energetic substrate of the universe, the deep, underlying Kala, is in a state of perpetual, unyielding oscillation. It ticks constantly, maintaining the rhythm of reality without ever depleting its core energy source. Modern scientists are desperately trying to build perpetual motion machines on a microscopic scale, completely unaware that the ancient Hindu sages had already modeled the entire universe as a flawless, infinite, perpetual motion engine thousands of years before the Western scientific revolution even began. The convergence of these two worlds, the cutting-edge quantum hardware laboratories of today and the ancient observatories of Sanatana Dharma, reveals a truly mind-bending fact that completely shatters our conventional understanding of human history. For hundreds of years, we have been explicitly taught to look back at ancient civilizations as primitive cultures that used mythology to explain a world they could not scientifically comprehend. We assume that our modern particle colliders, quantum microchips, and orbital satellites give us a monopoly on universal truth. Yet, when the absolute highest tier of modern theoretical physics finally manages to break past the limitations of standard thermodynamics, when they finally engineer a state of matter that moves perpetually without decay, the mathematical model they are forced to adopt is identically mirrored in the verses of the Atharva Veda. The Kala Chakra is no longer just a beautiful spiritual symbol. It is a hard, verified principle of quantum mechanics. Time crystals are the physical, laboratory-tested proof that the ancient Indian concept of cyclical, perpetual cosmic motion is the absolute reality. The rishis and ancient astronomers did not require billions of dollars in funding, supercooled nitrogen chambers, or complex silicon technology to discover the fundamental laws of nature. They utilized the supreme, optimized technology of expanded human consciousness to observe the subtle mechanics of reality directly. They mapped the quantum behavior of time by aligning their internal perception with the universal rhythm. Today, modern science is not inventing a new paradigm. It is painstakingly, mathematically remembering the ancient one. The deepest secrets of modern advanced energy tech are essentially just footnotes to the Vedas. When you fully integrate this knowledge, your entire perspective on life, technology, and your own existence fundamentally shifts. The linear view of time is designed to make you feel rushed and temporary, forcing humanity into a desperate race to consume before the clock runs out. But the quantum reality of the time crystal, perfectly aligned with the ancient Vedic Kala Chakra, proves that you are part of a majestic, infinite system. The energy that constitutes your consciousness, the very subatomic particles that make up your biology, belong to a perpetual, oscillating universe that never truly dies. The next massive leap in human technological evolution will not come from building bigger batteries or burning more volatile chemicals. The true breakthrough, the revolution that will define the future of quantum hardware and advanced energy systems, will come from fully understanding and harnessing the cyclical, self-sustaining rhythms encoded in ancient Indian science. Tech giants are spending billions to master time crystals for flawless computer memory. But the true mastery belongs to those who recognize that this science is our ancient heritage. If this uncompromising deep dive into the physics of time crystals and the profound, mathematically accurate cosmology of the Atharva Veda has shifted your understanding of reality, I need you to take action right now. The mainstream platforms are heavily biased toward burying this kind of elite, historical science content, because it challenges the standard, comfortable narrative. Smash the like button immediately to tell the algorithm this undeniable connection between modern quantum hardware and ancient Hindu science must be seen. Go to the comments and tell me your thoughts. Does knowing that modern physics has proven the existence of perpetual looping time change how you view the ancient wisdom of the Kala Chakra? I read every single comment to see who is truly absorbing this high-level information. Subscribe with notifications turned on. Stay rooted in our authentic science, and I will see you in the next one.